That's right, yeah, I got an agenda, and it's your money that I'm gonna spend, yeah. I'm a real.
Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again, barefaced lies. Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Hey son, you got a party, you got that little party going on there. Keep to the left, you can't think right, so everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say?
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Comrades, you always told us you'd build us all a new Jerusalem, yeah. You talk the talk, but when you walk, you only leave a crooked line there. And you don't see the trouble that's brewing if all you do is just what you're doing.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Is this where you wanna be? Debts and childhood poverty. Will somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy? Oh yeah.
Barefaced lies.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
A very, very good evening. Sunday, 21st of April 2024. Just under 2 weeks now until the local elections for Oldham Council. We've been at this now for 5 years. Each year we've reduced the Labour Party majority, and the aspiration is this year we will get over the line and move the council into no overall control. Despite this, we have many challenges ahead of us, and I wanted to spend this evening going through, well, what did you expect? Did you think Arud Shah was going to take it lying down? No. From the outset, the Labour Party have manoeuvred in a way in this town that should be expected. Why would you give up on a good thing? Why would you not go down fighting? And that is exactly what they're planning to do. And by hook or by crook, their plans are to keep control of Oldham Council. And I will get to that later on this evening. Thank you very, very much to Mike, who has kindly contacted me with 50 samosas. And I'm happy to put the transmission out free to air. The reason I had put it up member only was, as I'd mentioned to you during the week, people are just consuming the content and I'm losing subscribers. So that is why. Unlike Cammy G, I am not a millionaire. Unlike various councillors, I do not have business dealings where I can get hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds or discount buildings or land for sale. I manage to put out the content I do, and I have done for the last 4 or 5 years, as a direct consequence of the kindness and generosity of those who subscribe. The only bit that people seem to want to pay for is these live transmissions. So I'm happy to put them out and try and put that as some sort of membership tier, hoping we can get something back that keeps me going. So thank you very, very much. And yes, Tony, nor am I a gangster. Nor am I a gangster. David, thank you very, very much. So the super chat, that's my friend David Nestor up in Waterhead Ward. Jack, thank you also for the super chat. I think you're in Shore, aren't you? And Tony, I missed you earlier. Tony was finishing delivering some leaflets for me earlier, and I missed him, so I'll hopefully see you soon, Tony. And thank you also to Sue. Okay. Let me start with this. There's a crowdfunder that was set up about a month or so ago, just under a month ago. And that was different to the crowdfunder to do with my MP campaign. So the MP campaign is very different. This crowdfunder was specifically set up to do with challenging and removing from power Labour Party councillors in the local elections. So I understand that a certain Anita Lowe is trying to cause some damage and confusion and smear me because Anita Lowe is that sort of person, unfortunately. No doubt she's listening in here on one of her many fake profiles. Well, Anita, the reason why we've got to do this separately is because I'm not using it for my campaign to be MP. And if I was using my funds that I've raised via the CAP crowdfunder for my campaign to be MP to try and remove councillors in the Labour Party election, I would get myself in trouble. And by now, I think we've worked out, I think most people have worked out, I'm not the let's say, less, if there was an intelligence test between Anita Lowe and myself, I don't think I would be coming out in second place. So that's why Anita Lowe is done this way. And we've put out 2 leaflets so far, and we've raised about £1,200. After the fees, it'll just be over £1,000, but we've got enough for 2 leaflets. Gary and I were out today delivering the leaflet we're targeting Royton. It is in our interests, as we all know, as we've all agreed, it is in our interest to try and support Lewis Quigg to stay in power as a councillor, so we're targeting Royton North. Lewis hasn't asked us to do this. This is not a Conservative Party endorsed, funded or anything like that. We're doing it off the back of our, we're doing it because we want to. And in a democracy, we can support candidates, or we can support, try and keep people in power or out of power. That's for us to do. So we're targeting Clint Epiphian, who, remember, said it was a waste of money. An inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of children was a waste of money. So we believe, he's trying to get himself re-elected in Royton, we believe the people of Royton North have a duty, we have a duty to them to make sure that they're made fully aware of what the Epiphian has been up to when he was last councillor. So that's one of the leaflets. They're A3, it costs just under £600. Of course, we've got receipts, so it cost just under £600. And the other one, the other leaflet we've put out is also in Chadderton Central. It's for Peter Brown. Remember, Warren Bates was meant to stand, though. Warren Bates's funeral, my friend Warren Bates, my brother Warren Bates's funeral is on Wednesday. I know his daughter has sent out an invite to as many of you as possible. I will be there. He was my friend, and without him, we would not be here. So I will be there on Wednesday at the crematorium to pay my respects to a remarkable man. And in his stead, Peter Brown has stepped forward. Now, he's kindly stepped forward, and we've produced similar leaflets. You've all seen the leaflets. Those of you who follow me on Telegram, you've seen the leaflets. Lynn sorted some typos out, and that leaflet has gone to print, and it's already been delivered. We've been delivering these leaflets, and if I look tired, I am tired. I've been delivering these leaflets in both Chadderton and in Royton. So Peter Brown's leaflets have been going out in Chadderton to postal voters, first of all, because the postal votes went out on Friday and Saturday. And the funeral's in the afternoon. I think 1 o'clock, I think is, but don't quote me. I'm sure, hopefully David Gidman or Gary Tarbuck or someone will post a time when the funeral is on Wednesday. So these leaflets have been going out, and we've spent the money we've raised. In fact, I've not even got the money yet, and the money won't come to me until after this second, when the crowdfunder closes. And I'm going to gamble and put some paid Facebook, thank you Jackie, funerals at 1 p.m. I'm going to put some paid Facebook adverts up, which will include the video of Clint Epiphian saying it's a waste of money. Thanks, Jack, and thanks, David. Good to see you here as well, David. So, that's what we will do with some paid adverts, and let's see what happens. Our aim is to hopefully make sure Epiphian doesn't get elected in Royton North, and if we can, to try and impact on Elaine Taylor getting elected in Chadderton Central. So these are the leaflets. I'm out again tomorrow, and I know some of you are joining me tomorrow. Good evening, Imran. This is my friend Imran. Oldham Council interfering on postal votes who are not Labour supporters. Yes, Imran, don't worry. I've got it. I've got the evidence. I'll share it with people. Calm down. If you're finding value in this, if you're one of the 127 who've already joined me, if you're finding value in this, maybe maybe press like at the very least, and if you can, consider buying me a samosa. Now, I know Amoy's lost her mother, so my condolences to Amoy. I have no issue with Amoy. I raised it last week. And I brought this to people's attention last week because what Amoy had done was wrong. She'd claimed in this leaflet that she'd sent out, she'd claimed the Conservative candidate was an ex-Labour member who was removed from the Labour Party. And I reached out to the Conservatives, I reached out to Lewis Quigg to try and smooth this over as quickly as possible, if at all possible. Unfortunately for Amoy, those who are advising her, the independent group, will see Amoy lose her business and lose her house. That's how serious this will escalate. And Amoy, when the court papers arrive, should the court papers arrive, I guarantee you Councillor Mark Hins won't be anywhere near you, John Hughes won't be anywhere near you. You'll be left on your own. You'll be left on your own. And I'll tell you what's happened. Thank you for the super chat, Sheila. Thank you very, very much. And also thank you, Tommy, for the super chat. So, Councillor Mark Mintz, thinking he's smart, sent this out. He sent this out saying, oh, we don't know where that leaflet went from. It's now a police matter. This is the real leaflet that should have gone out. And it's been tidied up. And the bit that's in reference to the Conservative councillor being ex-Labour and being thrown out has been removed. These people are idiots. These people are idiots. I don't know what my mate Imran's just done, but it's given me a £20 super sticker with a baby lemon jumping in our lemon can. So I'm not sure what any of that means, mate, but I'll have a look. I can see on the screen, so thank you. So these people are complete and utter idiots. So they've gone back, retrospectively changed the leaflet, and claimed the original leaflet, this one that went out, had nothing to do with them, essentially. As though I would doctor one of their leaflets, or the Conservatives would doctor one of their own leaflets to make the Conservative candidate look stupid, or someone else. So you got the revised version. It's not going to save her, Nikki. You all need to understand this. So first of all, Mintz tried covering it up. Now, the problem with trying to cover this up with something like this is this leaflet, the original leaflet, would have gone to print. There's an imprint at the bottom. It was printed by this company, ZLS Digital. ZLS Digital would have received an email with the final proofs. That email would have come from Amoy or Mark Hins or whoever. So if the police are investigating it, they'd go through ZLS's inbox to confirm that they printed this leaflet, and they'll quickly check out who authorised the print, who paid for the print. You can't mess about with any of that. There's a clear paper trail. There'll be an audit trail. So instead of owning it, Amoy, which you should have done, and apologising and doing everything possible to fix it, knowing that I'd done my best to make sure that your apology would have been accepted and nothing else would have come of it, Mark Mintz thinks he's clever. And then it would have got back to them. That had already gone to print. There'd be a paper trail and all the rest of it. To which Amoy follows it up with this. Dear neighbour, you may have recently had one of my leaflets delivered to your home. In a small number of leaflets that were published, it stated that the Conservative candidate was an ex-Labour member who was deselected. You can't be a Labour Party member who was deselected, Amoy. You can be a Labour Party member, a Labour Party councillor who was deselected. You've not said this, Amoy. You shouldn't get yourself involved in any of this, Amoy, because you're too nice a person and it doesn't suit you. What you said was, and the Conservative whose candidate is an ex-Labour member who was removed from the Labour Party. That's what you've said. Okay? So here she goes with a letter. Ex-Labour member who was deselected. I would like to clarify that this information is not true and apologise for any inconvenience. Many thanks, Amoy Lindo, independent candidate for St James's Ward. Now, there's a couple of problems with that. One, it's not even spelt properly because there's an apostrophe missing. Two, it's not signed. But three, Amoy, where's your imprint? You can't send things out legally without an imprint, Amoy. Where's your imprint? Who's advising you, Amoy, to do this? Because you're going to lose your home the way you're behaving, Amoy. And none of us want to see that. First of all, and let me rip this apart because it will be ripped apart in a high court if it goes that far. You may have recently had one of my leaflets that was delivered to your home. In a small number of leaflets. Okay, Amoy. What's a small number of leaflets? Because you know why? When you go and speak with, when the authorities go and speak with ZLS Digital, they will have to tell us how many leaflets were printed with this false, malicious information, because it's false and it's malicious. That you can't even spell the ward you're in. Mince is dangerous. So first of all, it wouldn't be a small number of leaflets published. You'd have to quantify how many leaflets published. Secondly, you've not said that the Conservative candidate was an ex-Labour member who was deselected. You said he was removed. They mean two very different things. Deselected is something that happens when the members vote on a sitting councillor. You're saying basically someone was expelled from the party for wrongdoing. I would like to clarify that this information is not true and apologise for any inconvenience. No. Electoral law does not work that way, Amoy. Electoral law does not work that way. And do you know what she's not done? So she's posting this through. Who are you apologising to? Sorry, who should Amoy be apologising to? First and foremost, who should Amoy be apologising to? It's a straightforward question. First and foremost, who should Amoy be apologising to? Thank you, Lee. The Conservative candidate who she's defamed, smeared, made false, malicious allegations towards. When I spoke with the Conservatives on Friday, Amoy had not contacted Chris McManus. She just posted this through some random letterboxes. Who is advising you, Amoy? Is it Mark Hins? Is it John Hughes? Is it Maggie Hurley? Who is advising you? Your husband's not well. You have grown children who go to university, who are lovely children. You have a family home. You're going to lose all of this, Amoy. Let me explain what's going to happen. You've now admitted wrongdoing, but tried to cover your back up. Cover it up or mitigate it. So there's no ambiguity here. You've accepted wrongdoing. If Chris McManus now loses the election, say by 50 votes, 100 votes, 150 votes, if Chris McManus loses the election, the Conservative Party, who have insurance, by the way, which I doubt you have, or Mark Hins and the Independent Group has, or Maggie Hurley and her team has, their lawyers will launch a high court proceedings against you. You will then have to represent yourself or find a lawyer. Even if you admit guilt, you're still going to get hauled up. They'll want the election null and voided. They'll want the election null and voided, not because you've won, because you won't win, Amoy, it'll be the Labour Party who wins. And they'll say, because of your leaflet, Chris McManus was smeared in such a way, he lost votes. Sorry, my camera decided to turn off and on there. So Chris McManus will claim, because of your smear, your unfounded malicious allegation, he has lost the election. And he'll want the election rerunning. By the way, Amoy, there's something called the Misrepresentation of Peoples Act. So there's also a strong possibility that the police could be called in. And they'd have to charge you, because you've admitted to it. And you'd also have to come out and tell the police where you got the information from in the first place. If it goes to the High Court, the Conservatives will win, and you'll have to pay all their costs. Heavyweight lawyers, court fees. Why on earth have you not just picked the phone up and spoken to Lewis or spoken to Chris and said, please, can I come and see you? Please, please, I've made a mistake. Why couldn't you do that? Why, first of all, and I don't think you did this, but why, first of all, this nonsense of pretending that this was the leaflet and that leaflet someone else had maybe done it? And who told you to do this without an imprint and still trying to save face? Who told you not to pick up the phone and apologise to Chris? You say Amoy doesn't deserve this. She is still a grown woman. She knows what she's done is wrong because I know she's got a strong moral compass. So who? I feel for Amoy. She's in trouble. She's potentially in trouble with the law. If the Conservatives don't win, I fully expect the Conservatives to launch legal proceedings against Amoy, saying they lost the election because of her. And then as it'll escalate, it'll be Amoy who has to find the legal fees for the court case that she will no doubt lose, in my opinion, because he or she is admitting to it. You all saw me last week when I came on. I wanted to make it right. And I wanted to help make it right. And this is despite Amoy just ditching me, not speaking to me, and going and joining the independent group. I hope the independent group have got your back, Amoy. Sad. Very sad. What are the ways through this for Amoy? I don't know. Maybe she can send a leaflet out saying she's stepping down. Nobody to vote for her. She's withdrawing from the election. I don't know. Maybe she can go out campaigning for Chris McManus. Or maybe she can carry on with this nonsense, apologising for any inconvenience to everyone but the person she's actually smeared. Moving on to Mark Hins. So Mark Hins has spent the parish council taxpayers' money producing a leaflet, which was basically like veneer as electioneering during Purdah. Howard Sykes complained and said he'd go to the police and the Electoral Commission if it was published. And the secretary of the parish commission of the parish council accepted it can't go out until after the elections. So Hins reckons the Lib Dems tried to ban this community newsletter and they want it going out. The Lib Dems didn't try to ban this newsletter, you moron. Parish councils do not send out newsletters during Purdah. It just isn't done. You decided you could ignore the rules and do what you wanted. And the secretary of the parish council agreed. So you funded it yourself. And you want to send it out, which is basically promoting the Naveses. Your candidates in Shaw and your candidates in Compton. You weren't hard done to. You tried to exploit the situation for your benefit. And Howard Sykes and his team were right to call you out. Howard Sykes and his team were right to call you out. So this thing here, we're asking for volunteers to deliver the community newsletter the Lib Dems tried to ban. That's because the newsletter that you tried to send out using taxpayers' money would have been delivered through people's letterboxes at their expense as well during Purdah. The man is genuinely shameless. And clueless. Increasingly apparent more and more to people. Which is perhaps why he can't even spell St. James's. He can't even get the ward name right. Yes, I do. I spoke to the Conservatives on Friday. Lynn. At the time this came into my possession. And she hadn't. So I do know. Moving on to Wornath. This is Naila Ibrahim, who was the Labour Party candidate. Remember, she resigned or became independent just minutes before the deadline. This is her one of her election banners. You can very clearly see the Palestinian sort of inference. Sorry, I just need to turn this phone onto mute. It's annoying me. I thought I'd done that. I have sent an email out to Shoaib rather than Naila, so my apologies, Naila. I should have probably sent it out to you as you're up for re-election. You can see the boycott Labour, asking them to confirm their commitment to not working with Labour should they get elected, should Naila get elected. I've not heard back from them. But you can see what the election campaign is being fought on in Wornath. Here is Arud Shah and Ross Birch out in Waterhead with individual councillors and others in that picture who aren't from Waterhead. I'll do a transmission later on in the week about how postal vote exchanges work. I'll do a little masterclass. I'll put it out during the day. But Ross Birch is the only white woman there. Ross Birch, this is Councillor Ross Birch, that voted to block a judge-led inquiry into the cover-up of grooming and gang rape of working-class white girls at the last council meeting, stood up and spoke, I think seconded a motion, or proposed a motion, on Gaza, and now she's out in Waterhead desperately trying to get the Muslim vote. Shameless. Absolute shameless. What are the men to women ratio there? There's one woman maybe, you know. Arud Shah's a leader of the council. There's one woman next to her. 10-1. How can you talk about equality? How can you talk about diversity when you participate in this form of gathering? How? So I think Ross Birch is desperate. This is a letter I sent out earlier in the week. I felt I had a responsibility off the back of everything that's gone on. I'll just read it to you very quickly. As a direct consequence of relentless campaigning involving a cross-community coalition for the first time in over a generation, the Labour Party is at risk of losing control of Oldham Council. I am contacting you in your capacity as a leader of your political group to confirm with the electorate of Oldham that should Oldham Council move into an overall control, that under no circumstances will your group enter into any form of coalition with the Labour Party. With trust in politicians in the town at an all-time low, it is imperative that every one of you confirm with the electorate your commitment not to betray the people of the borough by entering into any form of partnership arrangements with the Labour Party. Yeah, Fida Hussein's in that photograph. Right at the back, left-hand corner. Councillor Fideusing, and some other councillors there. So I sent this out to all the group leaders because we know that the Labour Party will be looking to, Arud Shah would be looking to have a backup plan should she lose overall control. And it's in the council's interest, the council officer's interest, to have a backup plan. Those of you who came to the last council meeting with me, despite us losing the no confidence vote and the vote on CSE, you saw the council officers there and you saw how they were looking towards us. They are petrified. They know what's coming. And should we get what we want, I think some of those will end up in a dock, facing charges of gross misconduct in public office. That's what I'll be pushing for. The likes of Alexander Bogatov, Gerard Jones, Paul Entwistle, Chief Executive Harry Caffrell. I have no hesitation naming these people. I think an investigation would find them, a proper genuine investigation, independent investigation, would find them to be guilty. Or questions to answer at the very least that will escalate to criminal proceedings. Remember, the chief executive or the leader of Liverpool Council is facing trial himself. So when good people persevere, despite what the powerful try and do, in the end, if we persevere and we work hard enough, justice comes for all of them. No one is above the law, and in democracy no one should be above the law. So I sent this out. Yes, Jane Radcliffe as well, Janice. So I sent this out. The first one to reply was the Oldham Conservatives' formal statement. We have today received a letter from the independent parliamentary candidate for Oldham West Chadderton Royton, Mr. Raja Mia MB, asking us to confirm if we would enter into a coalition of any form or form an agreement with the Labour Party in Oldham. So that's good. They understood clearly what I was asking. Our position is simple and straightforward, as it always has been. The Conservative Party in Oldham will never enter into a coalition or form an agreement with Labour. And it carries on. So, the Conservatives got back to me. The next person to get back to me was Brian Hoban from the Failsworth Independent Party. Messaged me, Roger, no chance. Lessons learned, etc., etc., no chance. We will not be entering into any form of coalition. We'll fight this from the outside. And we'll do our best for the people of Failsworth, and we'll do our best for the people of the borough. Took the time to contact me. I've told you, my position is clear. It's not making a mistake that concerns me. It's what you do next. And the Failsworth Independent Party have consistently demonstrated that they've learned a lesson, and what they're doing next is what we want them to do next. So thank you very much, Councillor Brian Hoban, for contacting me. Mark Hins got in touch with me, giving me his due. He said no, but in some sort of convoluted way seemed to suggest that he was speaking on behalf of others, but he wouldn't tell me who the others are. I have a straightforward question for Mark Wilkinson. He's not answered it. And Sandra Ball, are you part of the independent group? Anyway, I contacted them separately, and Sandra Ball contacted me to say she wouldn't, neither would Mark or Catherine Charnock if elected. So none of the Failsworth lot will enter into a coalition with them. Neither will Mark Hins. Although we don't know whether the Failsworth faction of the Wilkinsons and Sandra Ball and Charnock are part of the independent group. Simple one line. We are or we are not. would be the sort of open and transparent and honest sort of engagements, interactions we'd want of our independent candidates, I thought, but no, nothing as of yet. So I know you watched this former Councillor Mark Wingle-Wilkinson and your team. Are you part of the independent group? Well, Jack, if he 100% would, which was we've got it in writing that he won't. So we've got the Conservatives saying no, Brian Hoban saying no, Mark Hins saying no. Shoaib Akhtar, as I've said, hasn't got back to me. My instincts are Shoaib and Naila did not want to leave the Labour Party and they'd be looking for a way back to the Labour Party. So from the silence, but then Naila's standing on re-election on this pledge: boycott Labour. So I'll wait. Maybe something will come back from him during the week. And I'm picking on these people because they're the existing councillors. I've not gone and seen people who want to become councillors. Existing councillors, existing parties that are represented in the council chamber. That's who I focused my letter on. So those people who came back and asked me why these are not X or not Y, that's why. Maggie Hurley hasn't got back to me at all, or the Royton Independents. My suspicion is that they will get into bed with the Labour Party. And yeah, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that the Conservatives did not put up a candidate in Royton South, because I think they would have held it and won it instead of allowing themselves to be blackmailed the way they have been. I agree with you. I think there's something with Age Concern or Age UK and an overlap there. You know, council fund them, which is why she concentrates on potholes and all the safe stuff. So nothing from the Royton Independents. As I said, nothing from the Werneth Independents. And those of you asking about the Lib Dems, I've had indirect contact from the Lib Dems. And I'll get a letter confirming the same, is my information. So I'll publish that letter as soon as it arrives from Howard Sykes. So that just leaves Cameron Gaffer and his Oldham Group. And I know that the 200 of you, many of you are my Pakistani friends and my Bangladeshi friends who hide in the shadows when you come to these transmissions and call me a whole host of names, some of you. Well, this is the bit you've been waiting for. Debbie, focus. I'm not asking you whether she mentioned CSE. Every one of them mentioned CSE because it's a bandwagon they can jump on. I didn't ask about CSE in the letter. I asked whether they'd form part of a coalition or an agreement with the Labour Party. Simple question. Even Mark Hins has responded, and I've been nothing but abusive towards him. I've mocked him. I've humiliated him. But even he felt necessary to respond to me. Sandra Boyle responded to me. The Conservatives responded to me. The Lib Dems have indirectly responded to me and will do properly. The Failsworth Independent Party has responded to me. Because they all accept the position I hold in the politics of our town. Nyla Ibrahim hasn't yet. As you can see, and my contradiction is, well, the thing I'm worried about is at the bottom it says boycott Labour. So if you're genuinely boycotting Labour, surely you should be issuing a statement confirming that under no circumstances, if re-elected, will you be entering into any form of partnership with the Labour Party. It's not a hard thing to do, is it? And I have no issue with Nyla. So this is what the Oldham Group, Cammy G. The Oldham Group are a bunch of pussies. Cowards who hide behind anonymity. Guys, why can't you put your names on your posts? Why can't you own it? Why do you have to hide behind a profile? Which one of you wrote this? Now I know which one of you wrote this because I was trained to read and profile people off reading and what they've posted before and the way they've spoken before. This was posted by Councillor Wahid Ashraf. And this is what he had to say. Remember, this went out to all of them. There's nothing malicious in what I'm asking. It's asked in a very polite way. I think there's no tone to it. There's nothing aggressive in it. Dear Mr. Mayor, this is an open letter confirming that we are confident in snatching victories in many of the wards that we are contesting. Who teaches these people how to write? I'll translate that to them, to the Oldham Group, stating that they're confident of winning in many of the wards they are contesting. I didn't ask that question. Under no circumstances will the Oldham Group be bending its knee to the genocidal Labour Party by joining or going into alliance with Arooj Shah's Labour Group. Whether she remains the leader or not. Absolutely zero chance of this happening. Thank you. But they're not happy. We can also confirm that the Oldham Group will have a candidate for Parliament in Oldham West, Chadderton and Royton. Did I ask that question? If you want to contest a seat against me, I suggest Councillor Wahid, you learn how to spell the word Parliament first. I suggest you learn how to spell the word first. And of course, it's not signed off by anyone. This post then mysteriously is pulled a couple of hours later. Thank you, Ash, for the super chat. Samosas and mango chutney for everyone. Thank you very, very much. And thank you, Faye, for the super chat. But yes, Ash. The big boys want to confirm with me that the Oldham Group will have a candidate for Parliament in Oldham West, Chadderton and Royton. Parliament, they need to learn how to spell and maybe some grammar as well. This is an open letter confirming that we are confident in snatching victories in many of the wards that we are contesting. Now, you do realise, lads, I'm going to absolutely destroy you. I'm going to absolutely destroy you. And there's a significant section of your community who can't stand you. And they're going to, which is why my viewing figures today are as high as they are. Which is why they're going to laugh their heads off as I rip all of you to pieces. And pull out and share with people all of the sleaze and all of the smears and all of the history on all of your candidates and their networks. So I look forward to your candidate. But this was pulled. So why did they pull it? Did they pull it because they were no longer confident of snatching victory? Did they pull it because whoever wrote it, why he'd wrote it, didn't have permission to say that they'd have a candidate for Parliament? Thinking that if they pulled it, maybe I won't slap them back? Or did they pull it because they didn't want that bit in writing that says absolutely zero chance of this happening, of them getting into bed with Labour? Why did they pull it? If you're finding value in this transmission, please press like, please press share, please consider buying me a coffee, buy samosa, whatever you want to call it. I hear Muhammad Ali, the Oldham Group candidate in Chadderton South, isn't enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. Pick up the phone and call me if you're brave enough, Muhammad Ali, and I'll come round and see you and tell you to your face what I think of you. Weasel. Weasel. As many of you know, I've done what I've done. I've been able to do what I've do because I have sources within the council. It's one of the places where I have sources. And in the evening, one of my sources phoned me up. I was actually out in Manchester. I'd gone to a meal with some friends of mine, some old friends of mine from a past life that I look back on and smile at. The nice people in nice, safe lives doing nice, safe things, and it puts a smile on my face when they invite me out. But my phone kept ringing, so I had to excuse myself and I returned a phone call with one of my contacts. And then I cross-referenced it with another one of my contacts. Cammy G, who is Gaza this, Gaza that, has been phoning around desperately trying to do deals with the other parties. Mark Hins. Deny it if you want, Mark, but I've seen it. They tried to reach out to the Failsworth Independent Party, the Lib Dems. The Conservatives I know, because I facilitated a meeting for him with Lewis Quigg, who was desperate to secure the Conservative nomination for Oldham East and Saddleworth. That's whilst the Oldham Group had already been established. So he went behind the backs of his fellow councillors and his fellow Pakistani Oldham Group members to try and make sure there was a way back in for him into the Conservative Party where he could stand as the parliamentary candidate in Oldham East. I have independent witnesses to that. How does that make the Oldham Group candidates feel, the supporters feel, that their leader is really still a secret Conservative? I checked with the chairman of the Conservative branch that he belongs to. Ordinarily, if Cameron Gaffer had resigned, then the email, his resignation email, would have also gone to the chairman. As a matter of course, he's not had an email. Playing both sides? I'm asking you. Secretly still a Conservative? Maybe pondering being a Lib Dem? I don't know. But this wasn't what my contact wanted to tell me about. My contact shared with me a story of how Oldham Council had been deeply concerned of what would happen if the council went into no overall control. Because we'd force through motions, wouldn't we? We'd force through motions. No confidence in the council, no confidence in the police, in reference to who blew up Arooj Shah's car and how they politically targeted people such as myself and falsely arrested us. We'll do a whole host of things. Call the auditors in to go through the books. Motion of no confidence in the chief executive and the YTS chief executive that was hired in a dubious way. And the council officers, the senior council officers, are really, really scared. This is the information I have been provided with. I went and cross-referenced what I could, and there's a question I have at the end of it. So I make no allegations, I'm sharing with the information that I've received, and there's a question I have at the end of it. Or a series of questions I have at the end of it, which I will ask of Cameron Guffaw, the HMO millionaire, the man who would be king. My information is Arooj Shah, Harry Caffrell, etc., Jim McMahon are all concerned. And they need to do a deal with someone, which is why I sent that letter out to all of them. They need to do a deal with someone to make sure if they lose overall control, that they can come to an arrangement with a group. My information is relayed to me that Arooj Shah has met with Cameron Guffaw. I don't know whether it's true or not, but my information is Arooj Shah has met with Cameron Guffaw. And Arooj Shah took some form of paperwork to that meeting, which was in Manchester, by the way. And Cameron Guffaw signed that paperwork. So I went back. The person who made reference to the paperwork couldn't understand what the paperwork was about, so I went back and checked. In 2010, when Oldham Council went into no overall control, or whenever it was when the Lib Dems, for a brief period, went into no overall control, there was a similar document signed between the Lib Dems and the partners in the Conservatives, I think, who they went into coalition with. It promises that the minor party will uphold their part of the agreement and not vote on certain matters in a certain way. So it gives the council some form of consistency. Now, I don't know if this meeting took place. The person who came back to me is a trusted source. And I've gone back and found myself asking people I know from back in 2010. They've confirmed if the paperwork exists. No, this is the reason why the paperwork would have been made reference to, Raja. So it gives credence to what the information you've got. Because then Harry Caffrell also signs the paperwork and whatnot. I've got it from other parties that Cameron Guffaw has been in touch with them, trying to do deals. That's confirmed. I've spoken directly to people, or I've seen paperwork. I think that's exactly what it is. But the question I have is I look at the likes of Shams, who's standing in Medlock. Nothing against the lad. Naveed Chauhan in Waterhead. Nothing against the lad. Very much an anti-Labour platform. Yet it seems that their leader and also an anti-conservative platform. But it seems that their leader is trying to do deals with these other parties. Now, I know 100% he's tried to do a deal with the Conservatives because I was sat in the round the table where he did that. And someone I trust, one of my senior sources from within the council that I trust, has come back to me, saying that there's been a meeting between Kami G and Arood Shah and he's signed the document. So my question of Cameron Gaffer, have you met with Arood Shah? Why can't Cameron Gaffer simply issue a statement such as this one and sign it as Cameron Gaffer and simply say, under no circumstances will the Oldham Group be bending its knee to the Labour Party, blah, 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 and sign it Councillor Cameron Gaffer? Why can't they do that? And surely Cameron Gaffer's partners in the Oldham Group, his candidate, should be asking him, did you meet with the Conservatives? Can't lie. I was at that meeting where he wanted a Conservative Party nomination. Have we reached out to the Lib Dems? Can't lie. Have you tried to do a deal with the other independents? But most importantly, have you spoken with Arood Shah in any way whatsoever? Because what they try and do is add extra bits. So they'll say, no, I've not spoken with Arood Shah last week. I'm not asking if you spoke with her last week. I'm asking, have you spoken with Arood Shah full stop? Have you met with Arood Shah? Is there an agreement in place? Come on, Naveed. Ask your boy. Has he met with Arood Shah? Why is Cameron Gaffer, who wants to win in Waterhead, who wants to win in Hollingwood, who wants to win in Medlock, Alexander, why is he not issuing a statement confirming that he has not met with Arood Shah and that the Oldham Group will not be entering into any form of coalition or arrangement or power sharing arrangement with the Labour Party? How do my Muslim friends, how do my Pakistani and Bangladeshi friends who are considering voting for the Oldham Group feel knowing that the leader of the Oldham Group is still courting the Conservatives, trying to do deals with the other parties, and now it seems is in some sort of, has he? I don't know. I'm asking him. Distance yourself. Why aren't you distancing yourself? I think his Gaza thing was just, he was just opportunism, Julie. It was opportunism. Because he thought he could use that as a pedestal to get the Muslim vote in Oldham East and Saddleworth as the Conservative candidate and get a coalition across both sides and get over the line. But the Workers' Party came along and he also got, they also fell out with the Conservative Party. And Councillor Waheed, I've also seen the paperwork. You didn't leave the Conservatives. I've seen the paperwork. You were expelled. I've seen the paperwork. You were thrown out. The statement you issued, that video you put out, that video was after you'd received notification of the outcome of the investigation against you. You know, when it's all built on a lie, how can you trust these people? When it's all built on a lie, how can you trust these people? No wonder your own cousin, Naila Ibrahim, refused to join you. No wonder Aisha in St Mary's is starting to distance herself from you, not even using the Oldham Group logo. No wonder your own people in your own team doubt your word. I look forward to you standing as a candidate in Oldham West. Bring it on. If you're finding value in the transmission, please consider liking, please consider sharing. I'm going to go get on to the next bit. Again, I shared it with you last week, or the beginnings of it. I now have the evidence. Oldham Council is interfering in the election. The former Chief Executive, Carolyn Wilkins, is on record for admitting that her council officers unlawfully interfered with the election, but she claimed it wasn't enough. In Coldest, it wasn't enough to impact on the result. It was a result where 36 votes decided it. If you don't think 36 votes is small enough, I don't know what you think is small enough in terms of margin. Now what they're doing is that they're restricting postal votes from being registered. And from what we can work out, they're going through a process of looking at postal voters who have been registered and the ones that the Labour Party haven't registered are the ones that they're targeting. So that's to happen. There will have to be dialogue between the Labour Party team and those in the council offices. And I'll show you an example. Just one. There's over 100 people in Chadderton Central that they've prevented from registering for postal votes or interfered in. I've got all of this with permission, by the way. It's just to show you an example. This is an application for a postal vote by this woman, Taslima Akhtar. That's a national insurance number. That's all you basically need. Okay, a national insurance number. She put a national insurance number in, submitted the form. The council sent her this back. Application reference. Reviewed your application for a postal vote. As part of the process, we carry out an identity check, and the national insurance number does not match the records that are held. You can see. And now they want a whole host of other things. They're doing it on purpose. 100 or so of these letters I've seen. That's their national insurance number. You can see it there. It matches. The Labour Party, run Oldham Council, are interfering with voter registration. Remember, this is the party that objected to voter ID. They're now interfering with voter registration and postal vote registration of those that are being registered by either the Conservatives or being registered by people that the Labour Party candidates or the team on the ground do not recognise. So much for free and fair elections. Nothing will get done with it. The police won't intervene. In fact, the police have been visiting people. The police have been visiting people to make sure that they're voters. And the people they've been visiting, again, you've guessed it, are the ones who weren't registered by the Labour Party. In this town, when all of this finally unravels, we will find that everything we said was true and more. And Oldham is the most corrupt town in the country. And these people who are desperately hanging on to power will do anything possible, everything possible, fair or foul, to criminalise, demonise, intimidate, harass and prevent democracy from winning and holding them to account. I'm out tomorrow in Royton. I'm out in Chadderton. The crowdfunder's still live. If you can't support the campaign, if you can't, go out and register to vote. Please do register to vote and go out and vote. You've registered to vote, go out and vote. And then I look at comments like this. And I say to you, I'm the one that's risked imprisonment. I'm the one that's risked my life. I'm the one that's risked my livelihood, my home. I do not believe anyone would claim I'm in any way politically correct. However, what I'm not is I'm not a racist. Majid Khan contacted me this week. Majid Khan is, of course, the Oldham Group candidate in Failsworth West. And I want to share this story with you because I think it's important to share. He posted some abuse in one of his groups. A thousand or so Pakistanis are on that group, describing me as anti-Muslim, this, you know, things that would actually have me harmed by people who wanted to harm me if they took his words and acted on them. And I shared what he put up. It turned out that he'd abused me using a profile picture of his daughter. And he wanted a post taken down of a picture of his daughter blanked out. But he was aggressive with it. I told him where to go. It then turned out how this town always does, is that he was a childhood friend of a friend of mine who contacted me. So I said, get him on the phone. Get him on the phone and let's thrash this out, because I'm not a coward. I don't hide. I'll sit with anyone and thrash it out with them. So there's a three-way conversation that took place, and I wanted to share this with you because I think it's important. Because I don't think enough of you appreciate how much I risk in the community where I come from and I was raised in. To make blasé comments like that. I'm not doing enough, I think, is that comment. Majid started off by comparing me, saying, I consider you to be no different than Tommy Robinson. Despite all of you knowing my position on that. And I'm anti-Muslim and so on and so on. So I went through a process with him, where this was the first time this man had actually spoken to me directly, but he'd formed his opinion based upon all the smears shared about me by those who are complicit in the cover-up, in the corruption, in the grooming gangs, who benefit from the current arrangement. So I said to him, Majid, let's start with the basics. If your mosque, the chairman of your mosque was a convicted sex offender, would you accept that? So we went round the houses until he accepted that he wouldn't accept that. And it's wrong for a person with such a black mark against his name to hold such a position like that, because it smears the entire community, not just a safeguarding issue, but it reflects on the entire community and it shouldn't be in that position. So I said, what's next? He goes, you criticise the mosque. I said, yes. I do not criticise the mosque. I criticise those that run the mosque. I do not criticise the faith. I criticise those who encourage discrimination, hatred on behalf of a faith, any faith. And I said to him, do you agree or do you believe that it's right that those that run the mosque, not the mosque, those that run the mosque, invite politicians into the mosque to nibble samosas and coordinate postal votes? No, he doesn't agree. Okay, so you agree with me that politics should be removed. Political politics, party politics should be removed from a place of worship. Yes, Raj, I agree with that. Do you agree with me then that it's not right for 20 members of a mosque management committee, all the mosque management committee, the majority of the mosque management committee, to also by default be Labour Party members? That's not right, Raji. You can't do that. It means it's just the Labour Party running the mosque and they're getting the votes from the mosque. A mosque is a place of worship. A mosque should not interfere, behave like that. Majid, do you agree with me that a mosque shouldn't be saying prayers for candidates representing a party? No, they shouldn't. I said, okay. So do you accept that if a mosque says prayers for a candidate of a political party, then that mosque is also endorsing the policies of that party? And I'm over the phone with him whilst his brain's whirring. Yeah, that's right. So, if a political party promotes transgender and it's saying prayers at a mosque, the imam is saying prayers on behalf of a candidate of that party, then by default, the mosque is endorsing the policies of that party. Yes. So do you agree why I object to it? I'd never thought of it like that. And then we got to this local election. Remember, this is my mosque. This is my mosque. We got to this bit. Ruji Surjan, at the bottom here, addressing Oldham, is a candidate for the Labour Party. 2,000 people voted for her last time, over 2,000 people. Majid, who struggled for a proposer and seconder in Failsworth West, Ruji would not struggle to find a proposer or seconder in Coldust when over 2,000 people supported her. So why is it that the name of the proposer and the name of the seconder are leading figures in Oldham Central Mosque? Why is it that this week Oldham Central Mosque again did prayers for Ruzi Surjan? Now, I'm not criticising the mosque. They'll twist it. But I'm not criticising the mosque. I'm criticising those who run the mosque and use the mosque wrongly to promote the politics and the individuals associated with the Labour Party. And that happens across a number of mosques in our town. And I find that wrong. And by exposing that, what I've done, is I've made myself a target to these people who twist what I say to try and make it mean something else. Ostracised by many in my own community, apart from those who know me, who tell the other people to get lost. We know him. And he's not what you claim he is. And if you stopped to listen to him, you'd agree with him. Of course, the mosque should be for religion. It's a place of worship. It's a spiritual place. And if it does any good in the community, it should do good in the community based through its faith and its values. Like all religious institutions should do. What they should do and what they actually do, as we all know, regardless of which faith we're from, does not always align well. So Majid went off, quite happy. And of course I deleted his daughter's photograph. I didn't know it was his daughter's photograph. I said, Majid, if you want to call me names in the future, I ain't got an issue with you calling me names. But, you know, if you've got, maybe you need to change your profile picture so it's not your daughter's photograph. And he left thinking I'm a very reasonable man. But because of what I've done and what I continue to do, which is fight for you, fight for this town, fight for our children, fight for every one of our communities, those who benefit from the current arrangement have demonized me and have placed my life at risk. And despite that, I'm still going out and speaking to people and meeting with people. And every time I speak to someone, every time I meet with someone, and I explain things the way I've just explained them to you now, the views and opinions of me change. And I'm grateful to Imran and all the others who continue to advocate on my behalf. Moib, who enjoys putting photographs of himself up with me and the abuse he gets. All of them. I'm grateful to all of them. And if you have an issue with me, I'm easily gotten hold of. Contact me. I'll come and nibble a samosa. And I have no doubt on this journey I've done many things wrong. And I have no issue in apologising for the things I have done wrong, but trying to clean up our mosques from political interference and the abuse of our mosques through which the Labour Party can control our communities, I'm not going to apologise for that. Because I've not done anything wrong there. And to whoever put that post up from the UK Housing Party, I agree. I've not done enough. I wish I could have done more. I should have done more. But I'll tell you what, mate. You come and try it. You come and try it. We're on the verge of taking the Labour Party into no overall control. We've got most of the political parties in the Oldham political groups agreeing that there will be no deals. There's only the Royton Independents, really, the Werneth Independents, although I think they'll get ripped apart if they went into a deal with Labour after saying boycott Labour. And Cammy G and his team. My information is Cammy G and his team he should be most worried about. I don't even think it's his team. I think it's Cammy G. I don't even think his team know what's going on there. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen to me and join in. You know, it's a Sunday night. You've got plenty of other things you could be doing, but yet you choose to join me whilst I stare into a camera and share what I know on this political journey we've been on. We're very close. We're very, very close to removing the Labour Party from power in Oldham. How many of you thought this would be possible 5 years ago?
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, Exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.